Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with ECCO. I am Shelly Andonkley, the founder and resident eco lady, apparently. I am the eco lady of ECCO. Tonight, we begin the first of many discussions, various topics about how to go green, and it's all about being eco-friendly, how to be more environmentally conscious and an environmentally conscious consumer. In the future, we'll be inviting you, our viewers, to share your journey. Let us know how the journey to be environmentally friendly and be eco has been going for you. All right. So we want to hear from you. Make sure you put your comments and your questions in the comment section down the bottom so we can hear everything that you have to say, and we will try to respond to your questions as best as possible tonight. For the viewers who are to the series, welcome, and we thank you for being here. It's a journey for us, and it's also something we want to introduce to you and let you know that it's pretty easy to go green. It's a gradual process. It's not an all or nothing. Take your time, do what you need to do. It's not, if you don't do it, then everything goes wrong. It's a gradual process, small steps, baby steps. All right. Also, this is an open space. Feel free to share your comments, share your views. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to be a part of that conversation that's going on with you, your friends. We are your friends. We are your friends. We're here to talk and share with you in all of this. Let me introduce to our new viewers, Live ECCO. You might not have seen the previous episode. So ECCO is ECCO. It stands for Environmentally Conscious Consumer Operations. And we started back in 2009 with our first issue. It was a printed issue, but now we are fully online. Everything is being done online as best as possible. We are your resource and your consumer guide. We want to help you on this journey to live green, to be more environmentally friendly, environmentally aware, and to become a conscious consumer. That is mostly what is important. When you know what your impact is, then you will be able to make various choices and different choices, better choices for you and the environment. So that is why we are here. Like I said before, going green is a gradual, it's small steps, baby steps. We're here to guide you and show you the way, all right? Conversations with ECCO is a fortnightly conversation. We want to be talking to you every 2 weeks, letting you know, what is happening in the news, what is happening in the media, what is new. Also, what products are new, what technologies are new, so you'll be able to make various choices. Our guests are experts in their field, and we're going to be talking to somebody today. I'm really excited about that. And they will be able to provide us with useful information and tips, again, to help us to become conscious consumers. All right. Our website is live, so if you could pop over there when you're able. It is liveecho.com. And let us know your views again. Share your views on our articles. They're quite exciting. So today, we are going to be talking to a young man. I am actually quite excited about this. I met him some years ago, and I thought it was actually a great time to have this conversation. And actually, our viewers thought it was a great time to also have this conversation. We did a poll some time ago, and the most requested topic was actually energy. Everybody wanted to talk about energy and how to save on their energy bill. So for us, that's a big deal. There's a lot of information, a lot of products and services out there. So how can you make use of what is actually out there, and how can it help you save? That is what is the big deal for everybody right now. Everybody wants to know, how can I save? All right, so we'll be talking about that. Additionally, another reason why we decided to talk about energy today is the conversation that has been going on in the media around JPS. So that's a big deal. I won't delve too much into that right now because I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. But it's a conversation that leads to the need for transparency, in how our businesses are operating. And it's also bringing to light the fact that consumers, again, need to be conscious about what is happening around them. You know, you're being billed for a service, but at the same time, is this service being provided to you at the most economical price, or is it being provided to you within the scope of what you thought you signed up for? So that's another reason why we thought the conversation was necessary. So we all use energy. We all have to use it in pretty much every facet of our life. So how can we save and how can we make better energy choices as well? Um, So we have to understand how we use it. We have to understand how and what technologies are available to us as well, and services, what companies are available to us. So again, we'll be talking to a young man. I'm about to introduce him, um, so he can let us know a bit more about the industry. Remember, drop your comments and questions in the comment section. We will try to reach out and answer them as best as possible today. Oh, another thing I needed to tell you guys about. So, the special guest of ours, I'm telling you, he's really special. He decided that he wanted to give away 2 gifts today. Yay. So, at the end, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So, please stay tuned. Let me now introduce my guest. His name is Mr. Jason Robinson. Hi, Jason. How are
Hi,
you?
Shelly. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I am so happy to see you and so happy for you to be here with us tonight.
I'm happy
Um,
to be here too.
oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And actually, let me tell our viewers, I reached out to Jason and I think it was like a WhatsApp. And Jason was like, yeah, I'm in. I'm like, okay, so can I tell you more about what we want to do? So it was pretty easy. Jason loves what he's doing, and I'm really excited about that. So let me introduce Jason. Today, we'll be chatting with Jason Robinson. He is the CEO and co founder of Solar Buzz. He has led Solar Buzz to one of the leading EPC, which is energy procurement and construction, renewable energy companies in Jamaica. As vice president of Jamaica Renewable Association, formerly Jamaica Solar Energy Association, he spends a lot of his time helping to share energy policy for the island. He has represented Jamaica overseas at various trade shows. Thank you, Jason, for that. He was asked by USAID to sit on a panel for renewable energy policy. Jason was featured in Forbes. That's amazing. That's a big deal, Jason. Congrats to you. As
Thank you.
one of the 6 renewable energy entrepreneurs lighting up Jamaica. So, Jason, thank you for joining us. We're hoping you can help us light our way as it
Yeah, well,
relates to our energy use.
well, that's what I'm hoping I can shed some light on all the issues that people are concerned with right now. I want
Yeah.
to tell you that I am in the UK, so it's 2:30 a.m., 2 o'clock a.m. where I am. Um, I came here to have my son was born in March, and I haven't been
Oh,
able to get back home
congratulations.
yet. So I've been working
Congrats.
remotely since, but we're home on Monday.
Okay, great. Looking forward to having you back.
Yeah,
And sorry for the time.
no problem.
Thanks for being here. All right. So first up, Jason, tell us a little about your company and the services that you offer.
Well, Solar Buzz Jamaica. We are as you said, engineering, procurement, and construction solar energy company. So we install solar energy for homes and for businesses mainly. We also do a lot of glass tinting to reduce heat loads coming in
Oh, I need
to buildings.
that.
And
Okay.
we also do quite a bit of pool and pond pumps, energy efficient pumps to help reduce energy as well. And those last two sectors that we're in, the tinting and the pumps, are just from doing our solar energy audits. We just saw the low hanging fruit that was just necessary to help make your solar system run more efficiently, but also help you be able to afford a smaller solar system by becoming efficient first.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit more about the tinting though. That's actually quite interesting. So you do that for homes and businesses or mainly businesses?
Yeah, my brother Justin Robinson runs that side, the glass section, and it's really been growing. We do for homes and businesses.
Hmm.
We actually do some cars as well, as people come to the office and ask. But yeah, there's a lot of glass, especially in older buildings or older construction. That it's an issue that a lot of the heat comes inside, and it causes the air conditioning cost to go up, obviously, because the more heat that comes in, the more AC you're going to use. So we represent Solar Garden. We've been doing quite a bit of tinting. We do all the new KFCs. We do Popeyes, Sagicor banks. So we have quite a good list of clientele on the glass tinting side.
Oh, that's pretty cool. All right, congrats to you on that. Um, just to let our viewers know, we actually had reached out to JPS and asked a few questions, but we haven't received a response yet. So I'm gonna talk to Jason a little bit about these questions that we had posed for JPS and see if there's any way that he can, help us and guide us in this sense. Once I get
I
some
was looking
responses,
forward. I was hoping that JPS was going to be on as well. I had a few questions myself.
I think everybody has some questions for JPS. Maybe that's why we didn't hear from them. But it is what it is. So let's, get going with whatever we can. How does JPS currently generate our energy?
Well, they use a mix of energy right now. So they've been trying to get away from the mixed the diesel fuel and the heavy fuel oil, and
Mhm.
more go start using LNG along with renewables. So right now I think they're at about 50% renewables and LNG, with the other 50% being the mixed diesel and heavy fuel oil.
Okay. So there is a mix. It's just a
Yeah,
matter of how much of
there,
what.
there is a mix, and I think that's what kind of caused a lot of controversy recently. Is that the oil side of things, the savings weren't passed on to us because of long-term contracts that were signed on that side. And then LNG, it's not a renewable energy, so I know we'll get into that later, but there's some questions from the audiences. But LNG is a fossil fuel, so
Yeah.
it is a commodity that will fluctuate in price, just like oil does. And we've signed some long-term contracts that were in higher cost than what LNG is currently. I know they're renegotiating that now, but it caused us to not be able to benefit from low energy costs in our homes when we were all stuck at home during the COVID problem.
Okay. I think you got one of my questions right there because I was like, why are our costs still so high? Based on us using renewable or JPS integrating renewable technologies into their system, how come I'm not seeing that reflected on my bill? Or maybe I am, because could it have been way higher?
I think it definitely could have been higher.
Wow.
But we definitely, there was definitely not, the savings wasn't passed on to the consumer. And I think we honestly can't just blame JPS. I mean, JPS has to buy their oil from Petrojam, and
Mhm.
Petrojam has signed these and has a extremely difficult top secret formula they use to price oil. It has, the Minister Williams came out and took some heat for the way that we had, signed long-term contracts with oil at way above market price just to help keep Petrojam afloat. So who really knows what's going on there? But what we do know is that us as consumers are taking the worst of it, and
Mhm.
it's very unfair. And I agree with a lot of people on the web and Twitter and stuff who said it's just because now that the government officials are feeling it, that all of a sudden it's an issue that they're discussing.
Yeah. Okay. And actually, I was thinking that we could break down a little bit what exactly, you touched on it briefly, but fossil fuel, what exactly is a fossil fuel? What exactly is renewable energy?
Well, renewable energy comes from like natural resources that are constantly replenished. So it's the sun, the wind, you know. Whereas a fossil fuel is more organic, decaying plants and animals in the earth that over hundreds of millions of years, thousands of years, has formed into coal, natural gas, and oil. And you have to really, that's why you have to drill deep into the Earth's crust to get these fossil
Yeah.
fuels, and that's really what makes them extremely expensive.
Okay. Um, all right. So now that we understand fossil fuels and renewable energy, let's look at understanding our JPS bill. Do you have any insight on that? I know that they have there's a JPS website. They actually have something on there which basically states how to understand your JPS bill. But in doing what you're doing, do you have persons question you about your bill or their bill?
Yeah, I mean, we're always helping people. Let me bring up a bill behind me so I can kind of talk through it. But first and foremost, a lot of people these days are actually getting their bill um, through text message. So we get a lot of, I will, like Solar Buzz, one of the first things we ask for is for a client to email us their JPS bill. And unfortunately, what we hear a lot is that, oh, well, I get it by text. All I get is the amount. And,
Yeah.
and I think that that is actually criminal.
Yeah.
No one can understand their bill if they're not getting it on a PDF that
Mm-hmm.
shows them the breakdown of usage and then the graph at the bottom that shows your 12-month history, right?
Yeah.
So you can't understand what you've been using over the year and what happened month to month if all you're getting each month is a text message. So I think the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that and consumers can get their PDF, you just have to call up JPS and ask them to email you your PDF bill, and you should do that each month because
Yeah.
that graph on the electricity usage trend on the left-hand side is extremely important, right? Another thing that you want to really focus on is the kWh, which is your kilowatt hour usage. That is really what how JPS records your usage and how they charge you for it. So
Okay.
when you look on the bill, you want to look at your kilowatt hour usage, and you look across and you'll see current usage, and you'll look down and you'll see your total amount for the month. And
Okay.
based on that amount is how we are able to size solar systems and see what your energy usage is. What's very, very important is that when you look on your bill, you'll see a section called reading type. I don't know if I could share my screen, but I have a bill up. If you look, you see reading type, and what it should really say is if it says actual, that means they've actually logged it. But a lot of people, you'll get an estimated bill. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the main issues has been with JPS. And one thing is that people are getting estimated bills when they weren't home for a month, and they'll get an estimated bill of
Ah.
more, just as much or more than when they were home. And one thing to note is that it is illegal for JPS to give you two estimated bills in a row. So if you
Okay.
do get two estimated bills in a row, they will actually, OUR will force them to pay you a penalty fee and credit it to your bill. We've helped
Everybody got
many.
this on our Jason stick up in. Everybody got that?
Yeah,
Make sure you please listen to that. They cannot send you two estimated JPS bills back to back. Correct?
no, they cannot.
Okay.
And if they do, you need to contact JPS, I think first, and then the OUR. If JPS doesn't sort it out, but or you can go straight to the OUR. But you are owed a fee, a credit back onto your bill
Okay.
for that.
Okay. So like when you're not home, like you mentioned, the example that you mentioned, you're not home, you're traveling for the month, and they do the estimate. It doesn't auto correct itself, when they
Yeah,
actually come and do the check?
yes, it should auto correct itself the next month.
Okay.
If they rarely read your meter, but they've been switching out everyone's meters for years now. So I don't know anyone who doesn't have a digital meter anymore, and which means they can read these meters from their headquarters. So
Okay.
why anyone is getting an estimated bill is, again, I wish JPS was here, is beyond me. I don't know why you'd be getting an estimated bill if your meters can be read remotely.
Yeah, yeah, I don't get that.
But people are
Um,
getting estimated bills.
wow. All right. So let us look at, are there any tips that you can give us? I mean, you gave us a huge one just now, but any tips that you can save us in terms of how we currently use JPS and electricity as provided? Any tips that you can give us to help us save?
Well, I mean, I think we've been having such high energy costs over the years. We're a pretty educated society when it comes to the basics of energy saving. I think what I'll say, I think a lot of people already know, but you want to become energy efficient first before you start looking at going green with solar energy. And some of the main things you want to do is, if you're using air conditionings, you want to definitely have the inverter type air conditionings. They do save. You probably use 40 to 50% less energy with an inverter AC than you would a regular AC. You
Mm-hmm.
want, if you're, refrigeration is a huge problem. I've seen, especially in the areas that are more the lower income areas of society, where they can't, someone may not be able to afford a brand new fridge, and refrigeration might be passed down to family members, and these old fridges sometimes account for 40-50% of people's bills. So
Okay.
to be really and truly, I mean, if you have a refrigerator, it should definitely not be older than 5 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
At the max 8 to 10 years. The older it is after 5 years, is the less energy efficient it is. And we've gone into people's homes and they've had fridges there, or deep freezes that are 15, 20 years old. And when you do an energy check, it's really like 30% of their bill. It's
Wow.
so there's countries around the world who actually have, the governments do refrigeration buyback programs where you can trade in your old fridges for new ones, and get credits, etc. Because it's such a big draw on the electrical grid as well. I think we'd have much less blackouts if we had some sort of program where we were helping people get rid of these very old appliances, especially
Yeah.
refrigeration.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Again,
that's a big deal.
yeah. Also, pool pumps. People who have pools. I mean, the single speed pool pumps are a huge draw. You have to run a pool 6 to 8 hours a day. So putting in energy efficient pool pumps is important. LED lights where you can, and those LED lights are expensive. So you want to start with the lights that you use the most, yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
start with the ACs that you use the most. If you have a guest room that is only used once a year, you can change out that AC or those lights last. Because
Yeah.
the payback on those won't be as good as the ones that you're using all
Yeah.
night.
Every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. No, it's true. Um, and actually,
Oh,
I'm
and
glad that
water heaters, obviously, solar water heaters. I have to mention that.
Okay. I'm glad that you actually touched on the light bulb, because I believe it was yesterday that the news actually mentioned, should the government ban incandescent light bulbs? And I
Yeah.
was like, ban versus, making it more affordable. Is there any way that the LEDs can become more affordable? And how many people are actually buying incandescent still? I personally didn't even know they were still available on the market. I didn't know people were still making those and buying those. If anything, you switch out to the CFLs and then LEDs. But most, if not all, of the lights in my place are LEDs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be. I think it would not be a bad move to ban them, but you also have to put incentives in place to, as you said, to make the LEDs and the other ones more affordable, because people are going to pay for what they can afford, and there's a lot of people who still to this day buy they shop for their groceries daily. So
Mm.
how can they afford an LED light bulb? So they will buy the incandescent light just to have it. Even if they realize it's going to use more energy on their JPS bill, they just can't really afford the other lights. So there needs to be help, I think, and I think the government can do that. But
Mhm.
yes, electric water heaters, incandescent light bulbs shouldn't really be coming into the country.
Okay. How many people in here still actually have incandescent light bulbs? Just to, get the conversation going. Anybody here still have incandescent? We need to switch out. We need to switch out. All right, let me take one question from the audience before we move on to the next topic. Andrew actually is asking, does the National Water Commission use solar to power any of the pumping of their water? Do we know?
I think they have one of the first places. The answer, I think, is yes. I know they've been looking at it, but when you're driving to Ocherius, I see no, I think it's more to Montego Bay. You'll see a station close to Discovery Bay and off to the left before you go up to where the jerk restaurant is on the cliff. As you leave
Okay.
like Dieburg going up
Yeah,
by, yeah, there's a pumping station over there that you'll see that has it does
solar.
have solar panels out there working for NWC.
Okay. Okay. Nice. And I do like your marker where the food is. Yeah, that's a
It's
good
not-
point
I-
to note.
it's because there's a bar there. That's why.
Ah, okay, well, the food for me. All right, so on to the next topic. We already looked at JPS and whatever renewable energies they have. What exactly is renewable energy? All right, now talk to us because I know you've been in the business for quite some time. When exactly did you say you started operations?
We formed the 2011. We formed the company,
Okay,
and then we really started installing solar in about 2014, and that was
okay,
really due to the lack of financing that was available for people. So those early years were a lot of more installing energy monitors and doing energy audits for people, until the DBJ introduced longer term, lower interest rates financing that commercial companies could really access, and then eventually homeowners.
okay, okay. All right, so what is the status of renewable energy in Jamaica now as it relates to, you know, how many businesses are we seeing? Is it something that has become more popular, or are we seeing where companies don't see the sense in it? And what are some of the changes that you've seen over the years? Because you've been in business for quite some time. So, what are some of the changes that you've seen, good, bad, from government to even consumers like us? What are some of the pet peeves that you have? I know that's quite a lot of questions right there bundled.
Yeah, I can tell you that costs are way from in the industry. Costs from when we started in 2011 are probably solar panels are a fraction of the cost of what they used to be, and a lot of the other equipment is much cheaper. But what we're battery costs are still expensive, but that's the next thing to really start seeing the price get go lower is on the battery storage side of it.
Okay.
I can tell you one of my main pet peeve really is that, I think the financial institutions in Jamaica can do a lot more for especially homeowners to help them access renewable energy. You asked, is it what's kind of the breakdown of commercial versus residential? But I can tell you that for Solar Buzz, we're 70% commercial clients versus 30% residential.
Okay.
Um, I can tell you with COVID situation, that has flipped around, with the leads coming
Really?
in because everyone is stuck at home and their JPS bills have skyrocketed, right? So
Yep.
everyone is now seeing the importance of having solar at the house. But I definitely think the financial institutions need play a huge role in helping us reduce our carbon footprint in Jamaica. They for homeowners, for commercial clients, a 10-year loan at 8%. The loan payment each month is cash flow positive, meaning the loan payment is less than what your JPS bill was. But because a
Okay.
homeowner needs a battery system, the batteries are more expensive. So really and truly, a homeowner for the monthly payment to be less than their JPS bill, the loan term needs to be longer than 10 years from what we've seen. We need 12 to
Okay.
15 years. Yes, and I know the first thing people always say as well, will the batteries last that long? Will I have to replace my batteries? And yes, you will have to replace your lead acid batteries every 4 or 5 years, or lithium every 10.
Mm-hmm.
But everything has replacement costs, and when you replace the batteries, it only adds about a 5 to 6, 7 months payback onto the system. So it's not that bad. When you buy a car, you have to have replacement costs of wheels, etc., etc. So we're trying to get the banks to start including the solar in mortgages. So when you buy a home, you can just have the solar system come with the house, and you just include it in the mortgage over 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way the loan payment each month is ridiculously low compared to what you'd be paying on your JPS bill. And you'd be way ahead of the game. And we live in a hurricane zone,
Yeah.
so again, pet peeve of mine is that battery storage for homeowners is essential. And
Mm-hmm.
again, the longer term financing will allow people to have battery storage. I mean, if we've seen what happens in Puerto Rico and the Bahamas, and once a devastating hurricane hits these islands, the grid will go down for months at a
Yeah.
time. As we saw with Puerto Rico, it went down for over a year in some places. So the homes that stood up and and should your roof stay on, and if once your solar system is installed properly, your system should last through it. You may get some breakage of panels, but you'll be able to have power in your home during a disaster, right? And I think that that's very important. And I think government needs to encourage the financial sector to give longer term loans for homeowners. The NHT needs to improve their policies. Right now at the NHT, if you have an existing NHT loan, you cannot get a solar system loan for PV to offset your JPS bill unless you've paid off your existing NHT loan. So you have to pay off your mortgage first before they'll give you a loan for a solar system. You can get a loan for a solar water heater, but not solar to offset your JPS. And where the NHT should really be including a solar system in their loans. People the majority of Jamaicans need to have backup power, for safety of their family. Look at the amount of blackouts we get. Having a small battery system included in your home with the mortgage, it would be very beneficial to families, etc. So I think
it should be a wholesome picture. When they're giving you the loan, actually even can you add it as an option? It shouldn't be one or the other. It should be all right. Well, if you're doing the mortgage, then all right, consider this as an option, cost savings, benefits, etc., etc. So that's a conversation that you as a VP need to be having with them. How is that conversation going?
It's been tough, to be honest. We've been talking to banks for about 5 years to get them to include it in the mortgage. I think there's one or two of them now who are looking to. You can do it if but they're not really promoting it or really pushing it, and then it goes down to not really training the staff to learn how to push it as well. So we're working with them, and it's getting better, but it needs to get better a lot faster because people need to have backup power in Jamaica for sure.
Okay. Solomon here had a comment. All buildings on the island should have panels installed, being a tropical island. So that pretty much goes into what you just said. If it is that you're buying a new home, or even if you're going to NHT, it should be installed. It should be included in your plan. Something that we should definitely look at. Tropical island, the sun is there.
Yeah.
So let's try and utilize it. Yeah.
It should just, we're not even asking the government to give incentives. What we're asking is to help encourage these banks and financial institutions to offer it and even to use your equity in your home. There's a lot of people who have equity in their house or property, and it should be offered for them to say, hey, would you like to use your equity to have a zero energy bill per month and also have backup power in case of a blackout and in case of a hurricane? It's really a no-brainer. People would do that at the drop of a hat. So I think that the more we talk about it and with the institutions, it will eventually come, but it's definitely something. And I do have one more pet peeve when you're ready. So
go ahead. So we're talking pet peeve.
When it comes to the JPS and the interval data for a meter, right? When we do an energy assessment for commercial companies, we are allowed from JPS to get their eSmart data, they call it, which is the 15-minute interval data of their meter for 12 months. But JPS doesn't allow us to get that for residential clients, which is unfortunate because the interval data, when we get it and an energy auditor gets it, is where they're able to see where the issues are. If you have any meter problems, if JPS is billing you improperly, where you're using the most of your usage exact. So for most homeowners to now have remotely accessible meters in place, there's no reason why their interval data shouldn't be released when it's asked for. So if a client has an issue and they want to hire an independent party to investigate their usage and their meter and their property, the interval data shows us a lot of info. Sometimes the interval data has proven to us that it really wasn't JPS. It's actually the electricals at someone's property. So it's not just to go against JPS, but the power is there for them to release the homeowner's interval data, and it's not being allowed to now. And I think that is a big step that will solve a lot of the issues for people if they're able to access their interval data.
Why is that? Do they provide a reason as to why it's not being provided to the consumer?
No, they don't. They say that they'll allow it for commercial. They don't allow it for residential yet. They want to release an during this whole issue with the low oil prices not being passed on. They
Mm,
announced that they're going to release an app for homeowners so they can monitor their usage daily and see what's using. But that seeing what you're using daily and seeing a graph on your JPS bill is helpful, and I think that's good. But
mm,
if you need to drill down and see where the issues are happening exactly, or if there's a fault in your electrical system or there's a fault in your JPS meter, the energy auditor needs to access the 15-minute data. I mean, how we get it now is that we put an energy logger on their breaker panel, but you have to
mm.
leave it there for 2 to 4 weeks. Whereas JPS has the power to release this data to homeowners, and it's their data. It is their
Yeah,
it is their meter data. I mean, they own it, and they do charge us. So if I want to get a commercial client's interval data from their meter, JPS charges that commercial client 13,000 Jamaican dollars. So he pays his JPS bill, and then he has to pay JPS to get the interval data if you want to analyze to see if there's any issues. So they will
oh
charge.
my
I'm
gosh.
sure they'll charge homeowners as well, but it's really unfair to be charged for your own meter data and then not even be able to access it for your home if you need it.
That's crazy, Jason. Man, my brows are knitted up. Like, what are you saying to me?
Yeah.
Woosah, woosah. So I'm kind of feeling what you're feeling when you mention that, because I don't understand why is it that if that information is helpful to us, in order for us to be more efficient at home in how we use our energy, then why can't I get that information? To me, that mm,
It's
woosah.
it's not it's residential clients are not allowed to access their interval data.
Okay, so now that's my pet peeve.
Exactly. Should be
That
everyone's pet peeve.
So do we just need to have a conversation with them like, hi guys, what is really happening here? We need to get this information. Do we need to start like
Yeah.
a campaign? Because it's really transparency. We need this information, as well as we need to understand why is it that persons that are not paying their bills, why are we being charged for them? Because I pay my bill every month, regardless of whatever it costs. I'm not questioning it until after, but at the same time, it's like I'm now being charged for somebody else's non-payment.
Yeah, I mean, they've never been able to differentiate, from what I know, their own efficiencies, like what they have, what is called line loss, where the when energy is moving on the lines, etc. There's going to be some loss, and if
Mhm.
the grid isn't efficient and the lines aren't maintained, etc., the more loss you may have. So I don't know how much of how much is actually theft versus line loss that they're passing on to consumers. I don't think that they're going to be able to differentiate that as well. So
Okay, so maybe that's why they can't really say, or they're not really touching on the topic, because just like you're saying, they can't differentiate really.
I think it's easy to say it's theft and pile everything into theft because they can charge that's it. The government will allow them to charge us for that.
Wow.
Their own
Wow.
efficiencies they'd actually have to spend money to fix.
There's a question here from Nicole. Let's see what Nicole wants. How will that app work if we have an invisible line item for outside theft? Well, I think Jason just kind of
Yeah.
yeah, actually, how does the app help us?
You mean the app that JPS is going to release?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it because they haven't really released it as yet. From what I know, it's just going to allow a homeowner to see their daily usage, but it won't be in real time either. So I think it's just going to be at the end of the day, you can see what you used. Again,
Mm,
um, that's that's cool, but people need to, if that's helpful, but getting your JPS bill on a PDF is also very helpful. And then if you need to dig down into issues with JPS, we need the interval data to be able to create a report for you to then take it to OUR or whoever to show them that, hey, this is what we found in the interval data. This is the meter issues. And we found issues with meters many times for commercial
yeah.
clients, you know?
Yeah.
So it does happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I actually had one question about the batteries. Are those recycled? How are they disposed of?
Well, the lead acid batteries, I work with Tropical Battery, and because those guys are like the largest battery supplier in Jamaica. So I work with them for recycling only.
Mhm.
Um, and when it comes to lead acid batteries, if I need to recycle, I have them pick up any old batteries, and they have containers of batteries going out all the time. So they do recycle, and I work with them on the recycling side of batteries.
Okay. Um, all right. I actually see here, Andrew. What do you mean if your questions are too long? We addressed one of your questions earlier. I'm not sure what other question you have. So if you can maybe drop it in the comment section, we will definitely get to it. All right. Um, Michelle here is asking, is it legal for them to withhold that interval data? Is that legal, or we don't know?
That's a good question. I think it's something that we are, this is something that we have just been back and forth with JPS on, and they're in discussions with us. So our next step is really to go to the OUR and see if they can help us see why it can't be released to homeowners.
Okay.
Um, to be honest, I mean, if it's your data in your meter, I think you should be able to access it. That's really the question
Yeah.
that we're posing to them. I mean, and you shouldn't really have to pay for it, in my opinion, but they are charging for the commercial interval data.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So let's get back to renewable energy. Is renewable energy costly, Jason? I mean, I've heard this for years. Everybody wants to talk about renewable energy, but you, everybody wants it installed because we're talking about it and we're like, oh, tired of paying JPS, blah, blah, blah. You know, everybody wants to talk, everybody wants to come off of the grid. And
Yeah.
we can talk about what exactly the grid is. But is renewable energy or switching out to renewable energy costly?
Yeah, I mean, solar is not cheap if you're buying it cash, right?
Mm,
But for instance, so for commercial clients, um, their load profile is usually 70 to 80% of their energy is used in the day, and at night 20%. So for them, they don't need batteries
mhm.
because their load profile, when we do the analysis, and which is that they can offset the majority of their JPS bill without batteries. So it's a much cheaper system. So
Okay.
we therefore, when the system is cheaper without batteries, if you finance it, it makes your loan payment less than what your JPS bill was, which we call being cash flow positive from day one. So that's
Okay.
why for
Right.
businesses, it's really a no-brainer for solar, right?
Hmm.
Now, it is expensive when it comes for homeowners because you do need batteries because your load profile is the opposite of a business normally, right? Normally, you're out in the days at work, and then at night time is when you're using the ACs, lights, etc. So you need more battery storage. Now that has changed a little bit with how the COVID situations. There's a lot of people who will be working from home permanently now, and they may be able to benefit more from a grid side because they may use their energy load profile may go to 50% in the day and 50% at night. So you could offset 50% of your daytime load without batteries. But yes, you're
Hmm.
looking at least, usually a system for a residential client starts at about $2 million Jamaican.
Okay.
Um, that's on average, I would say. You
What size home is that? How does that work?
you're
It's a rough estimate, but still.
I mean, it's not really the size of the home, it's what your energy usage is, your kilowatt hour usage. So
Okay.
you're probably looking at, I think at that size is about a three kilowatt system,
Hmm.
is what we see on average. Bigger homes are obviously, it can go anywhere up to 6, 7, 8, 9, $10 million for a solar system. But it's all relative. It depends on how much energy you're using. The more energy you're using, the faster you'll pay back for your system. So
Okay.
if the higher your, that's why really and truly when it comes to solar, once your JPS bill is around $15,000 and above, is where you start seeing the payback period start to become more feasible for a client. When your JPS bill is below 15,000, the payback is a little long because the basic components are still very expensive, as in the batteries you need, the inverters, etc.
Mm. Okay.
So, but again, that is with typical financing. And I think that longer term financing solves that problem. and there's ways to even include the the replacement of the batteries in the financing. I don't think people should be scared about replacing, the batteries. Oh, the batteries are going to be finished in 4 or 5 years. Yes, lead acid will, but lithium batteries last 10 years, and that's where the technology is going. And lithium batteries is like the Tesla batteries, right? So that's the
Okay.
future of where batteries are going. So we're selling more and more lithium batteries these days as homeowners are demanding higher quality batteries, and they want them to last 10 years. But even if you got lead acid batteries now that last 5 years, trust me, in 5 years, when you go to replace them, you'll be buying lithium, because in 5 years, lithium will be a lot more cost effective. They'll probably have a longer lifetime. It's just like how solar panels rapidly decreased in prices. That's what's happening with lithium. And we can thank, I saw Andrew Bruce mention Elon Musk a while ago in the comment section, but you can see Elon Musk, thanks to Tesla and these guys producing so many lithium batteries, it's going to force the price of lithium to continue to go down, as we've seen with like the Pentium microchip and then the solar panel, etc.
Yeah, that was another question I had in terms of how can we make this technology more of it affordable? Where are we going with the technology?
Well, where we're going with the technology is definitely better performing and lower cost battery storage. Storage is the future of solar, right? So the solar panels have gotten as cheap as they're probably going to get. Inverters are pretty inexpensive these days comparatively to what they used to be. The next big thing to come down is battery technology. So that's what we're really looking on for the development of the technology being lasting longer, producing more energy at lower costs, and it's going to happen. It's happening each year. Batteries get better and better. I mean, we went with the U.S. Embassy took a group of companies, including Solar Buzz, to Solar Power International last year in Utah, and we
Nice.
made some links with some lithium battery companies out there. And I mean, we installed some of the batteries soon after the expo, and then even a few months. It hasn't even been a year now, and the batteries are now even better than what they were when we originally started using them. So the technology in batteries are continually to really improve, and that combined, and I will say again, that combined with a good financial institution who sees the light in
Hmm.
not only doing proper terms for clients, but if you go for a solar loan like with Solar Buzz, I won't let any of my clients get below a 10-year loan at, if it's a homeowner, 10 years, minimum 9%, and the bank has to use the system as collateral. They cannot use your home or anything as collateral, right? That's where we are now with solar energy loans. So if a bank is telling you that they won't use the solar system as collateral, we will take you to a different bank who will, because we will shop you around until you get the best deal. We won't let our clients get you know, uh, get run around by the banks. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still see some of the banks these days who will, say it's an unsecured loan and they want to charge 14% for a solar energy loan. It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't. That's like
Wow.
2010 time. We're gone way
Yeah,
past that. It's time
yeah,
for using equity in your home to finance your solar, or using your mortgage or longer term loans and using the system as collateral.
yeah. Wow. I'm surprised that banks actually want to you know, use your home as collateral. To me, that's crazy. We have a question here from Solomon. Let's see what Solomon is saying. Any idea when, if you will be serving lithium-based batteries? Is that serving or servicing?
We sell them now. We install lithium based
Okay.
batteries now. The good thing with those is that they're maintenance free. So
Nice.
lithium batteries, you can discharge them 90 to 100%, versus lead acid batteries, you can only discharge the battery 50%. So the lithium batteries definitely work better. The ones we use actually override the other components in the system, and they control and update settings themselves. It's really the future of battery technology. So yes, we're installing those now.
Okay, great. Um, Before we wrap up, it is 10:02. Okay, how can we make the switch? Is it a gradual switch, Jason, or is it all or nothing? Like, can I? put a panel on to service one side of the house or maybe the fridge, major appliances? How can we make it affordable if I'm not necessarily able to get the bank loan that we want at the rate we want, etc.?
Right. You can do partial systems and add on to the system, no problem. So
Okay.
you can, and we can also, create a separate breaker panel in your house and just put the circuits that you want on solar in that breaker panel so that it's a smaller system. But one thing I can tell you is that once you want to have an air conditioning on your solar system, you might as well just size the system for the entire house because
Wow.
ACs use the brunt of the energy, and they use it over hours at a time, and they'll run down the battery bank. So for once we size for ACs to add on your lights or your fridge or anything is so minimal
Mm.
that it's not really bumping up the cost that much. And I'll be honest with you,
Even with inverter, even with that inverter AC?
yeah, because it's a constant load, right? So it'll cool down and it definitely runs more efficiently. And if you have an inverter, then you can also the size solar system you'll need is less. But yeah, if people are running two, three, I have clients running two, three, four, five ACs a night, so it definitely will run down the battery bank. But when you put in a hybrid solar system like we would for your home, JPS becomes your backup power. So if the batteries do run out for any reason, then you switch over to JPS automatically. And we
Mhm.
try and train our clients. When if it's cloudy on a day, you don't want to do any um, you don't want to do any heavy ironing or heavy washing or heavy appliances, during a cloudy day to save your batteries for the night. And then
Oh,
for
nice. Okay.
yeah. So our clients for residential homes, usually the battery, the PDF that you'll get from JPS, the graph looks like a step ladder. As you learn
Mhm.
to maximize the system, you'll get to know the system and you'll get to say, oh, it's sunny, let's do all our heavy washing and heavy ironing this day. Oh, it's cloudy, let's ease off. But you can always have the peace of mind that you have JPS as your backup
Yeah.
in case the batteries do run out. It switches over seamlessly. I want to
Okay,
shout
cool.
out Curtis Ralston from my team.
Hi,
Is
Curtis.
Yeah.
I have a question here from Leanne. Leanne, I love this question. Jason, let's see how we can tackle it. What about net billing, which allows for persons to sell back to the grid? Has this been effective for customers?
Effective for commercial clients who run a business 8 to 5 p.m. and they're not open on the weekends. Yes, very effective. You don't make a lot of money back because the JPS will only pay you 30% of the rate that you pay them. So you won't look to get a lot back on your JPS bill because they credit it commercially. Residentially, it's not beneficial from what we've seen because JPS does charge. Well, it's actually, yeah, the Ministry of Energy, along with JPS, the fees are pretty substantial for net billing. So if you're not selling back enough power, it's not worth it. So for our home clients, most of them have battery storage. So the
Mhm.
amount of energy that they would be selling back is so minimal, it's not worth paying the fees. They even to earn back what they to earn back from JPS what you'd sell in the fees at about 2,000 US would take you 15, 20 years. So it's really not worth it because
Wow.
you're using most of the power anyway. It's more beneficial for a commercial client who's closed on the weekends and is running an 8 to 5 operation. So all our commercial clients have net billing and that who fit into that area. None of our one or two of our residential clients have net billing.
Okay. Um, Before we wrap up, Jason, just let us know how people can get in touch with you. I know that you have a newsletter that goes out regularly. So if you can let us know how we can sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, if you go to solarbuzzjamaica.com, at the end of the page when you get there, there's a form to fill out. You can join our newsletter there. There's also a form on that site to where you can fill out to get a quote, a solar quote for your home or business. We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook.
Probably Facebook. Yeah.
Really, the easiest thing is just to Google Solar Buzz Jamaica, and you'll see a whole bunch of stuff come up, including articles and stuff like that.
Okay. And guys, make sure you sign up for the newsletter. It's actually quite informative.
Yeah.
I try to read it once in a while, Jason, to be honest. I
Oh,
don't
once in a while. Okay.
I'll step up. I'll step up.
Yeah.
Um, All right, so let's move on to some more questions here from our audience. Let's see, Mr. Praxis. Will we see alternative payment models become more prominent, such as lease or lease to own? That's a nice question.
Yeah, I would like to see it. I would need a large equity investor to come in with a fund who would back that type of money to us for Solar Buzz to give those types of options. I couldn't do that now, which is why I rely on the banking sector. But you have to be careful with it because I mean, when I lived in California, that's where I got involved in solar first before moving back to Jamaica, and a lot of the companies, including Solar City, didn't survive that lease model. It,
Mhm.
you have to be very careful how you're giving all these leases. You're putting in these high expense solar systems, and then you're only
Yeah.
getting back a small lease payment. You spend your entire business career chasing more and more financial backing to cover to cover the equipment, and so the lease model, yeah, it can work. It's a little dangerous. I think it has to be planned out properly. But like I said, Solar Buzz, we would need a backer to come in and help provide that for us. But I think it'll come eventually.
Okay. We actually posted a question on our social media pages some time ago, and we had a question from Alex. How can small businesses save, by, I guess, just generally in terms of saving by being on JPS, as well as if you're in a complex or if you're in a standalone building, how can they save? You touched on some of the topics in terms of
Yeah,
changing out certain
yeah.
things.
I think small businesses just have to be very on top of every expense, energy especially, and I think heat load, glass tinting, and inverter air conditionings, um, uh, monitor the lights and when they're used. So I think you just have to use the same kind of um, energy efficient ideas that you would use at your home in your business, and then once you're energy efficient, and if you can look at going, adding a solar system on at that time.
Okay. I'll ask one or two more questions from our social media page. How Greg is asking, how easy is it to convert a house to solar? And I guess it would depend on the size of the house and etc. No?
Yeah, I mean it's not difficult once we have done the assessment and the electricals are in order. I mean, we only use licensed electricians to sign off on all our jobs, and we have to make sure that the uh, electricals of the property, home or business, are up to code. Once your
Hmm.
electricals are up to code, and the roof is easy to access, and it's a roof that lends itself to solar, meaning heavy south facing um, angle. Um, but we can work with east west as well. But slab is easy to work with. Standing seam is great to work with. Probably one of the best. Shingle we can work with. The most difficult roof to work with is clay tile. So
Um,
it just depends on the property, but it's not difficult to install solar. I mean, we've been doing it for quite a while, so we can handle it.
okay. Brian actually asked, I understand Costa Rica is basically all green. He said about 90%. Do you know if Jamaica has any plans to get there?
Well, I know that Jamaica's Vision 2030, they want to be 50% renewable by 50% renewable by the year 2030. So I think it's we can do better than that, to be honest. I think 50% renewables in by 2030 is kind of far. I think we could do it in 5 years by 2025 if we really wanted to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, they're,
Um,
they're on track. The government has mentioned that they're pretty pro renewables, so it's good so far, and I think we'll get there.
Okay, so I think this is Andrew's question that he may have had. Can you speak about solar generators? My understanding is it's like a large up system. You can plug appliances in, etc. Any take on that? Solar generators?
To be honest, I haven't had much experience with a solar generator. Yeah, I don't know
Will
how well they work. I know you would. more than likely still need quite a big uh, area of solar panels for them to set up to then to work with the generator. But to be honest, we haven't delved into that market to sell solar generators as yet. So I don't really have much to say on that, to be honest.
Okay. Let's see. We have another question. Is this Luis? Is it feasible for an apartment building to convert to solar?
I get people who are in apartments all the time. The problem is we've never been able to install solar for an apartment complex or an apartment owner because they don't own the roof. So
All right.
the strata would have to give you permission to put at least 170 square feet of panels or whatever in some section of the apartment complex. And I mean, if you do it, who else wants to do it? I mean, where's the space? So
Yeah.
we've never been able to do an apartment because what we would require you to bring us the permission letter from the strata first before we even visit.
Okay. All right. So
Time
there's
is
work
money.
to be
Time
done
is
where that
money.
is.
Shelly, time is money.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. All right. All right. So we will touch on some of these questions a little later. We'll try to touch base with the questions offline. So let's get into the giveaways. Giveaway time, Jason. Um, First, some rules. You must be living in Jamaica, number one. You must collect your prize within 30 days. You must be 18 years or older, and you must be able to show some form of ID in collecting your prize. All right. So the first question is, when did Solar Buzz start operations? That's the first question. So the first person to answer that will get one of the prizes. Anybody? Anybody? And also name one of Jason's pet peeves as it relates to the things he would like to see in place. All right. So if we're not answering the questions online, we will definitely get to that offline. You can post the responses to the giveaways. Okay, well, Natasha, you are our first winner for the night. But Jason, thank you so much for coming on board. Thank you so much for speaking to us and enlightening us on all of these, all of this information. It's quite useful. I think there is so much that we've learned tonight, and you know, our audience, you guys have been pretty interactive, and thank you for that as well. So, Jason, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us on Conversations with ECCO.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you for having me. I hope I'm invited back.
oh, for sure, we'll definitely have him back. Jason, did Michelle get the last answer correct? Or the last question? No access to the residential thingy. I think she mean
I'm cool with that.
oh, interval data. That's
Yeah,
what she means. All
yeah.
right, nice. All right, so we have our two winners, Natasha
Who
and
who
Michelle.
was the other winner?
Natasha Parchment Clark.
Oh, right. She also
Yeah,
said a
2011. Yeah, I mean, you guys technically didn't start operations until 2014, correct?
well, no, we did. We didn't start installing solar till 2014, but we were operating and doing energy audits, etc.
Okay.
Energy efficient projects until 2014. Yeah.
Okay, so that works. So those are our winners. So once again, thank you, Jason, and you have a good morning. I think it's now like 3.
Yeah, it is time
All
for
right,
bed.
thank you so much. Thank you
All
so
right,
much for
cool.
joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Take
It's
care.
been great. Hope I was helpful.
I remember to sign up for Solar Buzz newsletter and join them on all their social media pages.
Yeah.
All right, thanks,
Great.
Jason.
Cool.
Bye. All right, thank you guys again for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please email us, send us a message on our social media pages. We are looking forward to hearing from you. We're really excited about where we're going. Our next chat is actually going to be August 5th, because at the end of this month, we're going to be starting another conversation, but it's more so business. So it's how to green your business. And actually, that's going to be green your biz. So that will be our first chat, which is a monthly chat. So that will be at the end of this month, the last Wednesday of every month. All right. So you can join us then. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for being here. Have a good night.